Adam Caplan from Inside the Birds, the podcast, which you can get on all podcasting platforms. Just search Inside the Birds. Here comes Adam. I see him walking towards us right now. And we just heard from Fletcher Cox. You just heard that full conversation with Fletcher Cox. And we're going to get a little insight from Adam on the event that's going on. And we just heard from Fletcher Cox. And, Fletcher, we asked him, you coming back? And he said, don't know. Doesn't have the answer to the question.
There you go.
Asked him if Vic Fangio changes his opinion at all. He said, don't know. Very non-committal, Adam Caplan.
Wow.
Not that you thought he would say definitively or nope.
No hints? Body language?
I got no hints.
Well, wait a minute. You guys know body language. He was sitting right here in front of you,
right
here
there,
on Radio Row.
in the seat you're in.
Mr. Grayson of Grayson's Grades. We would need to know.
Body
language expert.
I would say body language told me nothing.
No, he was very.
I got no.
He was
poker face, huh?
He told me basically what I saw from his body language was all my options are open, and that's the way he wants to leave it. Now, I took away what he said about Vic Fangio a little bit. I thought there were a lot of compliments built in there that he liked about Vic. And then the other thing, Adam, we talked to him about was just what went wrong at the end of the season. And he said, right now, I still can't put my finger on it.
Yeah. Josh,
I think most people feel that way.
Yeah.
Josh, can you play that bite from Fletcher so Adam can hear it? Here we go. This is Fletcher Cox moments ago.
I was sad for some time because I really just could never put my finger on what went wrong, and it is frustrating when you can't put your finger on what went wrong or, things that maybe I could have done better, as a leader, as a player, as a teammate. I still to this day really don't know what went wrong.
I mean, that's a guy who's I was sad thinking about, I don't know what happened. It's a pretty powerful comment right there, I thought.
Mike, on Inside the Birds, Moshe and I, and Andrew Duchecko as well, we've been through, what people tell us, what did the tape look like. It was, I'm a little bit older than you guys. My lifetime of Philly collapses, I was not alive when the Phillies had it in 1964. This was, look, we knew they were kind of a fraudulent 10-1 team. They were just skating by. But it's how they lost 6 out of 7. I just interviewed James Conner of the Cardinals with me on Sports Grid. And I said, did you put your big boy pads on against the Eagles? And he laughed. He goes, man, we ran it, and we ran it. Look, that game, they couldn't stop them.
There was no answer.
To be non-competitive in this sport, and can you believe Jeffrey Lurie? I can't imagine what he would have felt after the Tampa Bay game.
Right.
So let's fast forward this. That's the inexplicable thing. You can't. There were so many things going on, right? We didn't even talk about the offense. Terrible tackling, new defensive coordinator, new play caller, and it was bad because Patricia tried to do his own thing. Guys were out of position, didn't know what they were doing. It just snowballed and it couldn't stop. And then they show the head coach against Tampa Bay that glazed look, like he's kind of lost the team.
Right.
It's always subjective. You can't really tell, but it looked bad. So there you go. It's it's everything. Cox is right because it's not just one thing, it's everything. And coaching, players, and injuries. Go ahead.
And you mentioned the coach, the glazed look. That's the same guy that's yelling at Chiefs fans and Colts fans. And
lost his Scott, there's a term that John T. Filippo, the former Eagles coach, uses. When he would come on our show, he did some tape reviews for our Patreon people. And he goes, a coach can never lose his stinger. That's a coaching term about energy and passion and juice. Now, here's the question, Scott, on what you brought up. Can he get it back?
Yeah.
How do you get it back? Because I've been thinking about that because he's been like that, just like you brought up against Kansas City. And I've seen him I saw Sirianni throw out Kenny Gainwell out of he told Jamal Singleton, it was 2 years ago when they played the Browns, when they were practicing with the Browns at Browns camp. He said, get him to bleep out. I mean, he went off. This guy's calls himself a hot-blooded Italian. So now, to fast forward here, can he get it back? I can't answer that. That's a great point you bring up, Scott. I don't know.
Can he do it as CEO and not anything
Well,
more?
he's been a CEO, but here's the difference is Greg Cosell and I were talking about, it's not his offense anymore. That's the difference. So that input, he doesn't know Kellen Moore's offense. Mm-hmm. So what's he going to do? Now, here's what he can do. And I saw Sean McVay do this. When McVay thought the defense was losing it, and he's only time he's ever done this in their OTAs, one of the coaches told me, he went through their offseason program mostly with the defense because he felt that he had to do it because he knew he was the play caller. He's got the offense taken care of. I remember when Andy Reid, when things were really bad with Jim Washburn and Juan Castillo, and the defense had fallen apart in 2010 and 2011, he was spending a lot of time with the defense, which he never did. So on Nick's point during his press conference when Tim McManus asked him that question, which is hilarious. I love Timmy. I used to work with him at ESPN. Great question. Well, what are you? Well, not only you've been a CEO, a coach, but now you could spend time wherever you need it. And yeah, because he's not calling plays, sometimes he won't have the headset on. He'll go over, because Nick was a receiver in college at Mount Union, he'll go over to the young receivers that they draft. Hey, you're not running it right. So he could become a better coach in a way. I know it sounds strange, but he could.
Adam Caplan, football at 4. We're going to talk about the spectacle that is Radio Row.
It's pretty cool. It's my 23rd, by the way.
Wow. We did ask, Zach Berman was on with us earlier. I asked him, if Howie made one big splash, what is it? See if your answer matches his. Position, not player.
Cornerback.
He said young corner.
In Denver.
Is that the definitive, must have this offseason?
No, it's because I know how bloggers love to quote me. I don't know anything yet on Sertain. I'm not saying they're even going to.
Oh, I'm not saying. Yeah. I'm not saying. Yeah. You said Denver, not me.
No. What I'm saying is only because I know they called Denver during the trade deadline. I'm not the only. A lot of reporters know this. It just happens to be, and how it's so funny you say that because they're so bad at corner. No, it could be a safety like Justin Simmons. Who knows? Who's also in Denver. Again, these are Fangio guys. It's the only reason why I'm bringing it up. But, yeah, I feel like they're going to make a big splash. Like, Jeff and I, since we've done Inside the Birds, this is our 7th year? Oh, my God. What is time gone? Some years we're very quiet. We got relax, folks. It's not going to be heavy for ages. Sometimes we have a feeling. I haven't asked yet. But I just get this feeling because they crashed and burned. Their defense is terrible in the back end. I don't know if they're going to – what are they picking, a 22? Is that right?
22.
Okay.
And then 2 in the second.
The Mitchell kid, Quinyon Mitchell, who I really like at Toledo, he had a great week. I don't know that he's going to make it to 22. It might be a top 15 pick. I don't know if that corner's going to be there. I don't know if that edge rusher's going to be there. They got to redo the back end. The back end's terrible. So, yeah, free agency, that's a good one. We got to see what they do with James Bradbury's contract.
I was just going to ask about that. How do you get out from that, or what do you do?
You take $11 million. What you do is they own just under $11 million fully guaranteed, whether he's on the roster or not. Nobody's taking his contract because he should have been benched. Mm-hmm. Let's call it like it is. He regressed to the point where Ringo was a nice little story. He's not ready to be a starter. Ricks is a really nice story. He's not ready to be a starter, so they couldn't do it. But that's another thing, guys. Because we're doing, for our show on Inside the Birds, our next show, which we will debut on Thursday, we did our offensive we went over the free agents. We're doing defense, folks. That's a train wreck on defense. The back 7, this is
It's funny you said
tough.
that. And one of the things Zach said, he said they're definitively going to have changes in the back 7.
Major
changes. And just in the secondary, the problem is they need changes, and they're all contractually obligated to Slay, Bradbury.
Well, Slay's not going anywhere, but Bradbury?
But you can't overhaul
Byard?
a whole position when they're all under contract.
He knows.
You might be, yes.
Kyle Turley knows.
Yeah, he does know.
Kyle, how are you, man? Good to see you. He knows what it's like to have a contract.
Yeah, and you can't just say we're going to wipe out 3 guys who are all under contract. You might be able to say we'll eat 1, but not all 3.
Right.
You got Byard, you got Blankenship, you've got Maddox, they're all under contract.
Well, Byard's here. Byard will definitely be here, but should he be a starter?
Right.
He kind of dropped off and he had some injuries. So yeah, they've got a whole new back end. Yeah, they got a lot going on, man.
All right. So let's talk. How many years is this for you here?
23.
23.
My first one, guess which one it was. And Rich, I'm going to give you a hint. I had to bring it up, and Rich Gannon was with me today on Sports Grid. That's a hint.
So it was Raiders.
Bucks, terrible game.
Tampa.
And I got yet up by the Raiders when I said it's my favorite Super Bowl because the week was great in San Diego, man.
The game that the
Eagles
fans all felt that they should have been in that game, right?
0-2?
Well, one of the losses to Tampa in the NFC Championship.
Yeah. And I could see Joe Fisher still running. So
right.
I was at that game as a fan.
So the evolution of this for you've been to a bunch of them.
I was so bright-eyed and inexperienced. I didn't know what I was doing at the first Radio Row. And it was only my 3rd year covering the National Football League. I was actually covering the NBA and NFL at the same time, and which was impossible to do it from a full-time basis. But I like it. I was telling a program director I know from a station out west, I do more business on renewals for my radio deals out here than anything I do in my career. I'll have 5 new deals when I'm out here.
Nice.
Just because all the program directors are out here.
Yeah. Oh.
No, actually, I should say all. A lot of stations are not coming out anymore.
This one is, I said, like the
Is it good for you guys?
Oh, yeah. it's a very good opportunity to, we talked to Fletcher
I see you
Cox.
every year.
We're
yeah,
not getting
that's
Fletcher
right.
Cox on.
How did you get him?
He was standing next to us.
You just said, "Hey."
The girl that was with him with Tide was from Philly.
Oh yeah,
and
she
I
said
said,
that. Yeah.
hey, can we have him for 7 minutes, even though you want us to talk to him for 9?
Yeah.
And she looked at me like, no, she didn't have time. And I kept hey, about 3 minutes.
Right. 3.
And
three always starts with 6.
And
then
then she inevitably brought him over, and then he just went. He just started going.
It's good stuff, man.
But, so the spectacle that is this thing, and you talked about how many different people, it just keeps, every year you're kind of looking around.
So in 2002, this is the crazy story. The week of the Super Bowl, Barrett Robbins, the Raiders center, went AWOL. He just had a mental breakdown, and he left. And Jay Glazer had that report about he just left the team and during the week. And I didn't think about that. And we had the Eugene Robinson situation, which we won't go into. You can research it, folks. It's kind of not great. But we rarely get any controversies anymore. And the craziness of being in Las Vegas, I don't really – this is kind of weird for me to be – I've been my first time I stayed in Vegas at the Excalibur, which is connected to this in 1989. So, yeah, it's fun coming out here because it's great to see people who I work with at ESPN who are out here. Most of us are not there anymore, but no, it's good to be here. So how many years, Mike, have you been here?
I think this is 5 or 6.
Yeah,
seems like longer than that.
Well, I went to New York and then took a little break, and then Atlanta, Minneapolis, Miami, Phoenix, and now.
By the way, you were there at the Super Bowl for the Eagles. Remember it was in the food court?
Yeah.
How ridiculous it was?
Oh, yeah.
It's funny you said that because there's a bunch of people I've talked to this week leading up to this that said they liked that one.
I didn't because I kept falling over myself. Because remember, it was enclosed. So it was a circle, and you couldn't move.
Every table was right next to
you were there? Yeah, it was bad. But that was a fun week. It was cold as heck. And I'm so glad for all the Eagle fans.
Atlanta. I was in Atlanta, too.
Atlanta. Yeah. Which one? Yeah.
The most recent one.
Okay, cool.
And I didn't go to Tampa because there was and then they had one in L.A. recently, which I did not go to. Now, next year's New Orleans. I was talking to the New Orleans guy.
That's always a fun one, man.
That's what everybody says. That's the best.
And I got jambalaya over there.
Yeah, jambalaya.
Yeah, baby.
I thought you jambalaya. You know what that's from, Mike?
I do. A little Seinfeld reference.
You got it.
All right, Adam. Well, I know you got a lot of stuff to do.
Yep, I do, boys.
Good Eagles information.
Yeah,
and
man.
Stuff. Good conversation.
I got to hear this interview with Fletcher. Yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing.
We'll email it to you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
There's Adam Caplan. All right, Sports Bash Live, Football at 4, brought to you by the Inside the Birds podcast.